Welcome to Conservation Kids, the show where you have questions about nature and we try to answer them with the help from our friends at Conservation Halton, including Professor Turkey Vulture. Today, we're at Crawford Lake. Let's go find out what our questions are.
Hi, my name is Robin and I am 6 years old. I have a question for you. What's at the bottom of Crawford Lake?
Turtles? I think there's a mine of diamonds in there.
On the map, yeah, it showed there was a big crack down there.
I think there's gonna be lots, like under there there's fishes.
Yeah, anything else?
A cave?
No.
Fish?
Anything else?
Crocodiles?
Frog.
Frogs?
Loch Ness Monster.
Treasure.
Those were really great guesses. Professor Turkey Vulture, do you think anyone got the answer right? Yeah, me too. Well, to find out for sure, let's go see if we can find an expert. I bet you Brenna the park protector is here. Let's go see if we can find her.
So Crawford Lake is one of the most special lakes in all of Ontario. Most lakes are shaped like a bowl. Crawford Lake is shaped like an ice cream cone. And in the very top of that ice cream cone, it's just like a regular lake. So if you dove into Crawford Lake and you started to swim down, it would be full of fish and it would be full of turtles, and it's very beautiful. But if you kept swimming further and further down into that ice cream cone, down into the point, it gets very, very dark. And it gets very, very cold. And the water's a little bit heavy because it's got a lot of minerals in it. So when you get right down to the bottom, almost nothing lives down there. And that's what makes Crawford Lake so special. So in the very bottom half of the lake, things get preserved like a time capsule. So if something falls into the lake and sinks all the way down to the bottom, it settles in almost a perfect layer, like a book. And you can look at those layers and count them back about 1,000 years. And those thousands of years will show us exactly what lived here, what plants lived here, what maybe animals lived here, and definitely when humans were here. What we found in the layers from about 600 years ago in the bottom of Crawford Lake is corn pollen. And that corn pollen let us know that people were growing corn near here. But since it was before settlers arrived in Canada, we know that it was Indigenous people. And so that's what spurred us to go and look for a longhouse village, maybe about 500 meters away from the lake. And that's what we found. You can't swim in Crawford Lake. It's a special lake. So Crawford Lake is a really special lake, so you can't swim in there. A, because we want to leave it for the fish and for the turtles. So we've got beautiful animals that live in here, and because we don't swim, you can come and you can actually see them in the water. But also, we don't want to start stirring up any of the sediment. We want it to fall in those perfect flat layers that help researchers learn all about climate and all about all the things that have lived here over the last 1,000 years. So scientists use a very special tool called a frigid finger, or a freeze corer. And what that is a big, long metal tube, and you fill it with dry ice, just same kind of ice that makes the smoke. And you put that inside the big metal tube with some weights and some alcohol, and they drop it down into the lake, and it shoots down into the mud at the bottom of the lake. And when it sits there for about half an hour, just like your tongue on a popsicle, the mud sticks to the outside of that tube. And when you pull it back up, you can see the layers, just like a book, on the outside of that tube. And then scientists can take it back to their lab and they can take a look at what they find in there. And they look for pollen and they look for chemicals, and they can learn a lot about human history by taking a look at what they find inside. So that freeze core really was what told us that there was a village of about 300 ancestors of the Wendat, or the neutral people, living here at Crawford Lake. And over time we actually found 11 longhouses, the outlines of 11 longhouses from 600 years ago.
Thanks for the question, Robin. So as you can tell, Crawford Lake is a very special lake. One of the reasons is because of how deep it is. Things that fall into Crawford Lake get preserved. Scientists will come to Crawford Lake, take core samples, and they can learn things from what they pull out, like weather and what grew nearby. So far, we haven't found any mermaids, shipwrecks, or buried treasure, but you never know. Thanks to Brenna, our park protector, for helping us out with the answer to our questions. And thank you, Professor Turkey Vulture, for helping us out today. Our Conservation Kids tip today is to stay on the trails. If you were at someone's home, you wouldn't go wandering around without their permission, and so we do the same thing when we're in the parks. We stay on the trails and out of the water if there's signs, and that keeps ourselves and the park safe.